Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to another video here with Something and Something Productions. This is my TT02 road car and we're about to do a lot of modifications. So I've wanted a drift car for a pretty long time. I just didn't want to buy another car because I have plenty and I never really used this thing for road use. So I figured I might as well make it a drift car. So there are large angle steering kits that you can buy, which basically just increases the amount of steering that you get. You'll see, we're going to put the kit in this video. I've got a brushless motor that we're going to put in. I'm going to lock up the rear differential so that it's a locked diff. And I'm going to take out the center drive shaft and all of the front drive components so that it's going to be rear wheel drive. And I won't need a new ESC because for whatever reason, even though this car comes with a brushed motor, the ESC is actually a brushless ESC. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I won't need to buy another ESC. So right now, all of this is just kind of bundled up in there. It's just going to kind of sit there because I don't want to organize it because I'm about to rearrange it all. And right now, we're going to take it out as it is, kind of like to test it to see how it differs from four-wheel drive, open diff, not so much steering, to rear-wheel drive, brushless, and lots of steering. So let's test it out. I also painted my drift wheels, spray painted them black with, I don't know if you can see it, but there's some little shiny bits in there that I thought looked pretty dang cool. First test is going to be on my tile flooring, just kind of around some of these corners here. Open this up a little bit more. See, all-wheel drive.
Okay, let's go.
Also, part of this isn't due because I'm bad at driving. Okay, overall, it did pretty well. It's not as controlled as I would like it to be, and the steering kind of isn't, like if you mess up, there's not enough steering to really be able to compensate for it. And having it all-wheel drive is kind of tricky to get it to slide around. It's kind of more power sliding than actual drifting. So I'm excited to see this motor that's in here, quite a lot of torque and power really for what it is. So we'll have to experiment with the brushless motor once we get it in because I might not need it. This is, well, it's running a little bit warm. That might be a downside, but we'll have to see. Look at those wheels. Those look awesome. Also, did I mention I want to get a new body? This one's really cool. I love the paint job, but it's old and it's really beat up. And I want something really clean for when I'm drifting. So I don't know. We'll see what I decide. Now, it doesn't really matter what you use. It could be epoxy. You could probably use super glue if you really wanted to, or you can use shoe glue or anything that's just that will hold it in place. Get it all on the gear down there at the bottom. The differential back in the exact way that it came out, and then we'll put some more all over the top. I'm gonna turn the gears so that it all settles. It's good, just like that. And then you're pretty much done with this bit. Put the cap back on. Okay, then let it sit. Alright guys, so here it is, the Yeah Racing large steering angle kit for the front here to get the steering to actually function like a drift car. And then here's the motor that I ordered, but what I did not realize is that this is a sensorless motor, which wouldn't be a problem except for that the ESC that's here is actually a censored ESC. You can't combine a censored ESC with a sensorless motor. You can use a censored motor on a sensorless ESC, but you cannot do the opposite, which is a bummer because this seemed like it'd be pretty cool. Which is okay. We can do brushed for now until we find out another thing. I may have Another, oh, put it up here. I may have this one, if I can find it real quick. This one may work. I don't really know where I got this from, but it kind of is a thing. I'll test it out and see if it's going to work. So I'll figure it out. I'll get another brushless motor if I need to. But for now, let's go ahead and throw this thing in. Another thing we're going to do is take out the center drive shaft real quick, which should be pretty easy. Just going to slide on. Yep, there we go. That was easy.
That was easy.
And we got the diff all locked up, so we're going to put that back together and tighten the rear end back up before we start on this. So we'll do that real quick. Right, went ahead and got that gear cover back on, everything put back together, and as you can see, that rear differential is now locked. And also, without that center drive shaft there, the motor is only going to drive the rear two wheels. So now, we're going to see what we can do with the large angle kit. Okay, and while I was at it, I went ahead and took out the front thing that goes into the thing, on the thingy thing. I mean, these can just spin freely, independent from each other, because it's not front wheel drive anymore. Now you may be wondering, why is the timeline so inconsistent? Well, you see, our video editing department has been quite lazy recently, and is running short and behind schedule. Please bear with us while we try to solve the problem. Get down. Frustrating. This is not how it says to put it on, so now we're just going to slide those puppies into place. Okay, so here's something I'm gonna have to do. There are these steering kind of stops right here that limit the steering. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Those little blocks right there, they limit the steering, and then there's one on the bottom of the arm here, so that it'll only come over a certain amount. So I'm going to have to cut those off, and I'm going to figure out some other stuff that needs to get figured out, but this is looking promising. This is looking very promising. Okay, so many minutes later, I ended up doing a lot more cutting than I really wanted to. This is this front bulkhead up here. And you can see I ground off the mounts right there. I ground off the mounts there. I didn't have to cut the body actually at all, which it says you do. But I did take the front bumper, foam bumper off, because I cut a lot off of that and it still wasn't enough, so I just took it off. I actually ended up screwing these shocks into the arm there instead of right there, so that it'd have more clearance on the wheel. I fiddled with the angles where these were mounted for a little while, because it was acting funky, so I played with it a lot. This is one of those projects that, guys, if you really wanted to have a whole butt ton of steering angle,
fiddling with it, I fiddled around with it some more.
You're going to have to cut a lot of stuff,
just because it wasn't quite where I wanted it. I also wanted to give you a closer look at where I mounted those shocks there on the arm.
Do all sorts of stuff, but
as
I'll throw this back on,
and you can
I'll show you what it's like.
There.
Oh, and I still have
just to give it more clearance for the wheel, because it's... I have a lot more of it, a lot more steering angle. I also wanted to show you why I cut up that bulkhead so much, is because, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, that arm actually goes into where the differential was. It needs that space to go into it. So I don't know if it's quite where I want it yet, but you know, I'll get there eventually. You just have to fiddle with these things. You're not going to get one of these projects done unless you just fiddle with it and figure it out. Anyways, you know, let's test it out. Okay, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed. It 100% is just I'm terrible at driving. I'm not going to show you the rest of the tile clips because it's just me going and lying and spinning around. It is a lot harder to drive. But if I get used to it and if I get better at driving it, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's really cool for just on the bedroom floor, just kind of flipping around, you know. But on the long, big drifts, it's really hard to control. You could get a gyro, which is what all of like the newer fast Traxxas cars have, which basically means if the car senses the car sliding, then it will automatically turn the wheels to straighten it out. That definitely helps with drifting 100%, because even in the drift, you can kind of adjust and move the car back and forth. I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, because it's very cool. I just need to get used to it. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.
Okay, let's go.